Donald Trump famously gives most of his interviews to Fox News. It's the closest thing he's ever had to a monogamous relationship. But his marriage to Fox must be growing stale, because last week he cheated on them with ABC's chief news sprite, George Stephanopoulos.
If Russia, if China, if someone else offers you information on an opponent, should they accept it or should they call the FBI?
I think maybe you do both. I think you might want to listen. There's nothing wrong with listening. If somebody called from a country, Norway, we have information on your opponent. Oh, I think I'd want to hear it.
No! You don't take info from foreign governments, especially Norway. Everyone knows they just want to conquer America and turn us all into Lutefisk. While Trump is openly saying that he thinks it's fine for foreign powers to meddle with our elections, the Senate is making sure there's nothing standing in the way of a good meddle.
Since the 2016 election, members of Congress have introduced several bills aimed at securing elections and preventing more future interference. But all of these bills have met a huge roadblock in the form of Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. He is refusing to bring any election security bill up for a vote.
Of course, Mitch McConnell is blocking election security bills. Just like he spent years stalling health aid for 9/11 first responders, McConnell is so good at blocking things, he's like the kidney stone of the Senate. Mitch McConnell's awfulness gets only a fraction of the attention Trump's awfulness gets, so instead of focusing on the president tonight, we thought we'd do something no one in the history of the world has ever wanted to do. Get to know this guy, the dry rot of democracy. If our institutions seem like they're on the verge of crumbling, Mitch is the guy who gnawed away at the foundations. Rarely has a man so powerful been as dull as Mitch, who's been described as a warmed-over vanilla milkshake. But old Master Shake here didn't get into politics because he had big ideas or a passion for public service. For most of his career, he's just been focused on being a winner. Maybe he's trying to compensate for a loss he experienced earlier in life, like the time his chin went out for a pack of cigarettes and never came back. But whatever motivated him, Mitch has spent most of his career finding loopholes and bending the rules to achieve victory, regardless of the damage it causes. When he first entered local politics as a moderate Republican and novice thumbs-upper, Mitch was actually a strong supporter of abortion rights, unions, and the civil rights movement. But after just barely getting elected to the Senate in 1984, he was worried about losing in 1990, so he pandered to the right wing, which was more effective than his previous strategy, pandering to the urban vote. McConnell made his mark by becoming a master of Senate procedure. That's how he got the idea to use the filibuster as a wonderful tool to gum up the works, which unfortunately is also how he describes his penis. Mitch realized the filibuster could be used on just about any Senate business, which kind of makes him a genius, like the first person to think of using mold to kill infections, or the first person to think of using the bathtub faucet to masturbate. McConnell has used the filibuster to stop everything from the DREAM Act to funding for teachers and firefighters. He also used his favorite toy to break the judicial branch. When his arch-enemy, President Not White Guy, dared to try to put judges on the bench, Mitch used the filibuster to block the nominations, which was not normal. Before Obama, all the presidents combined had 68 of their nominees filibustered. Under McConnell's leadership from 2009 through 2013, Republicans filibustered 79 Obama nominees. And thanks largely to McConnell, at least 89 judgeships that were President Obama's constitutional right and duty to fill have instead been filled by President Trump. We'll be feeling the consequences of that for decades. In 2050, when my granddaughter gets jailed by Judge Kid Rock for brewing bathtub Plan B, she will have McConnell to thank. Of course, McConnell's masterpiece of obstructionism came when President Obama nominated Merrick Garland to the Supreme Court. McConnell cited a made-up tradition that we don't fill Supreme Court vacancies during an election year, but he's not even bothering to pretend that that's a thing anymore.
Supreme Court justices next year.
We'd fill it.
That is so disgusting. Not because he would break his own rules. I just never want to hear Mitch McConnell say he'd fill it. Mitch is openly bragging about how he stole a Supreme Court seat, and he's acting as smug and casual as that other cold-blooded tea-sipping amphibian. Long before he was blocking efforts to secure the 2020 election, he was blocking efforts to secure the 2016 election. After learning that Russia was interfering, President Obama wanted a bipartisan letter condemning the Russians to be signed by congressional leaders, but he insisted it would only work if it were a united front of bipartisanship, which is an idea so innocent and adorable, I want to make it into a Precious Moments figurine and sell it on QVC. But McConnell claimed to doubt the intel and only agreed to a letter that used softer language. It didn't mention the Russians. He made us go soft on Russia because his side was benefiting. I'd ask how he can show his face after betraying America like that. But honestly, I've also wondered how he showed his face before he did that. Sorry, ladies, he's married. Mitch McConnell's approval rating in his own state is 36%. He's literally the least popular senator in the country. And yes, I am including Ted Cruz. And yet, he has huge power over all of us. There are lots of good reasons to take back the Senate in 2020, but one of the most satisfying is that Mitch McConnell wouldn't be Senate Majority Leader anymore. And hey, maybe Leader Pelosi could lock him in a room with Merrick Garland for 15 minutes. Whatever happens, happens. We'll be right back.